Hello, welcome back to Celebrity Crime File. Let's talk about Diddy's trial. The former Diddy assistants who say they were threatened, abused, underpaid, and even one who claims she was sexually assaulted. Are they going to be the downfall of the rap mogul? Their testimony is explosive and so important to this sex trafficking and racketeering case. We are going to go through what they had to say and how it fits into the overall charges. Another day in Sean Combs' criminal sex trafficking, racketeering, prostitution trial. We have another recap of today's testimony. This is the continued testimony of alleged victim Mia testifying under a pseudonym. There is a lot to break down with respect to her direct testimony, her cross-examination by the defense. Remember yesterday she testified that she was verbally, physically, sexually assaulted by Sean Combs, those to potentially forced labor as the underlying crime of racketeering. Remember, prosecutors have to prove at least two underlying crimes of racketeering. Forced labor is one of them. I also think her testimony goes to this pattern of criminal activity for racketeering, and her testimony, of course, helps corroborate Cassie Ventura's claims of physical abuse by Sean Combs, Cassie being victim number one in this case. So what did she say today? Well, I'll tell you what, before we even get to Mia's testimony, one other thing you might have been seeing in the news, gotta address. So it came out today that President Donald Trump, who seems to have been friends with Sean Combs through the years, they've been photographed together, he had a statement today. It seems he was asked, would he ever be open to pardoning Sean Combs if he's ultimately convicted of these federal crimes? What did he say? Well, he said, I know people are thinking about it. I know that they're thinking about it. I think people have been very close to asking. First of all, I look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country is doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me. Now, not to get too political, but as we know, the president has been making a lot of pardons recently, although this one feels very different. Although he was a little ambiguous in what he would do, this one, out of all the pardons he's been issuing recently, this one feels kind of different. These are violent allegations. These are sexual abuse allegations. There's an argument that whether or not Sean Combs is even guilty of these federal crimes, there's a lot that's been documented about domestic violence in videos and photographs and testimony. So it might just be too ugly for him to pardon Combs, and what the justification would be if he's ultimately convicted of this. Sure, he can side with the defense's argument that this wasn't a fair trial, that these allegations don't amount to federal crimes. But is the Diddy case one of those issues that's bipartisan? What benefit would he have to ultimately pardon Sean Combs if he's convicted of these crimes? I'm not going to get into that right now, but just something to keep note of, that there is a possibility if Sean Combs is convicted of sex trafficking, racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, his sentence, his conviction, there could be a pardon here. We shall see. All right, now let's get into Mia's testimony. Let's talk about what happened today. So for that, I want to bring in Long Crimes reporter Elizabeth Milner, who's been our eyes and our ears. She has been in that courtroom every day of this testimony, including today. Elizabeth, it's great to see you. Before we even talk about Mia, there was something interesting that happened at the beginning of the day, and not a lot of people reporting on it. Real quick back and forth before the jury came in, there was a discussion between the attorneys and the judge over charts. And when I was listening to this or reading about it, I want to hear what you have to say about it. What happened? I think this goes to the transportation to engage in prostitution charges, which we don't talk about a lot, right? The idea that Combs allegedly transported victims and sex workers for the intent of prostitution, for sex work, right? What was the discussion about charts?
Well, it was pretty interesting, at least to me, Jesse, because I think when a lot of people hear, oh, summary charts and graphics and that type of sort, that maybe it doesn't stand out to them. Maybe it's not as interesting. But to me, what the prosecution was pretty much saying was very interesting. And so the defense was essentially saying that they don't like the escort category when kind of comparing their flights and the hotel booking. And this seems like a summary chart from the government that they want to introduce as some kind of demonstrative or some piece of evidence in order to kind of make this pretty clear to the jury. And so what the defense was essentially arguing was that they don't connect that the escort necessarily went to the hotel just because that they had a flight on that exact same day. The defense pretty much said that they were simply travel records, whereas the government says, sure, we can take out the escort category. That's fine. We'll still keep the names, but the summary witness will pretty much, when they are called to the witness stand, will pretty much say that these charts are going to kind of compare the hotel date to the flight that was booked. So, for example, if Cassie or Diddy had reached out to a certain person to just be like, hey, do you want to come over to LA or Miami or Vegas or New York? And then you see an escort booking a flight for that exact same day. I think the government kind of makes a strong argument that these kind of help go to count 3 and 5, that being transportation to engage in prostitution.
Hey, so look, I know you guys are all true crime fans out there, but anybody also in a business of some kind? If so, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Odoo. Why? Because Odoo is an incredible all-in-one business management software that provides you with a range of applications like their sales tool, the Kanban pipeline. It's a game changer. Whether you're working with leads or full-blown opportunities, you can visually track each stage of your sales process. Just drag and drop to move deals forward. It's fast and honestly kind of satisfying. When it's time to send a quote, it's literally a couple of clicks. The reporting's super clear. You get a live view of your pipeline, conversions, what's working, so you can focus on closing and not guessing. Right now, you get a free 15-day trial of Odoo's all-in-one business solution. See how it can make your life a little bit easier. Now, we got to talk about alleged victim number 4, Mia, Combs' former employee, again testifying under the pseudonym Mia. So she gets back up there and she is continuing being questioned by the prosecution. She's their witness. This is before Brian Steele, Sean Combs' defense attorney, began the cross-examination of her. She's testifying under direct. And my understanding is there was a lot of discussion about alleged threats that were made by Sean Combs.
Right, yeah, there were. So when Mia comes to the stand today, it was kind of the same as yesterday, where she kept her head down, she kind of had her bangs in front of her face, and she just kind of walked to the witness stand because the witnesses go to the stand before the jury is brought in for the beginning of the day. So she comes back in, her support system is kind of behind her, as well as what we presume to be her attorneys too, because they're normally in the suits. But she walks straight to the witness stand, takes a seat, but kind of has that same effect that she had yesterday where she was keeping her head down from what I could see, even while on the witness stand. But I will say this, Jesse, about her today. She kind of spoke a little bit more with an upbeat, if I could say that word, to kind of describe her demeanor just while she was on the stand, as opposed to yesterday where she was very quiet, soft-spoken, raspy at times, and emotional. But just as far as just some of the threats that were made to her, the government kind of pointed out an incident back in October of 2015 when Mia was down in Cape Town, South Africa with Cassie while Cassie was filming a movie. And so Diddy had told her to go to South Africa, according to Mia's testimony. However, Cassie caught Diddy cheating on her. There is a video posted online with this videos with Puffy or Diddy, along with Diddy's girlfriend, Gina. And so Mia had said that Cassie was devastated by this and that Cassie stopped answering Diddy's call. So Diddy had Christina Coram and other staff members try to get Cassie on the phone. So we see an exhibit photo from October 26th of 2015. It's a text exchange between Christina Coram and Mia. Christina Coram's like, hey, it's KK. PD wants to talk to you. Sorry, messenger, don't shoot. Mia's essentially saying, I tried to call him. Christina Coram said, well, you can call me first. The audio call is not completed. And then they kind of talk about how Mia was getting all these kind of incessant phone calls from not only Christina Coram, but also Diddy just trying to get in touch with her. She says at times she was sleeping. There was a time difference. And so that was the essence of that. But even as far as just threats to the job, she had kind of teased a little bit into this during her direct testimony yesterday, where she was explaining that she would get suspended, but without pay for issues just as simple as Diddy being mad at her, and using this as kind of retribution towards her. And so she was kind of explaining that she was suspended for even oversleeping on the job because she would be awake so long. Then we kind of see an exhibit photo of a notice that kind of needed some further redaction. So it went up, it went down, but we were able to kind of get the gist of it. So this was from March 11th of 2011. It was an email from Mia to Bosa, which was Bad Boy HR. And Mia had said that Diddy had asked Mia to get him a lot of options for workout clothes. And she had explained that this is normally a stylist's job.
But Mia did what Mia did, and she did her job. She got out all these workout clothes for Diddy, laid them all out. And I guess Diddy cursed at her and got angrier and angrier. She had said Mia tried to point out that there were other options as far as Diddy could use for workout clothes. But she explained that this just made him more irate. And Diddy was screaming, he was cursing at her, but she doesn't remember necessarily the details of the violence, but knows that something violent happened in this particular instance. And we see another exhibit, this being an email from a couple days later on March 25th of that same year. It was an email between Mia and James Cruz. This was Diddy, your puppy's manager. And James Cruz says, who's handling the tickets for the Kid Choice Awards? Because I want to bring my kids there. And Mia says, I don't know when that is, but he's currently firing me at the moment. Smiley face. And while she's even kind of saying her own messages, she is kind of saying, like, I don't know when that is, but he's currently firing me at the moment. Smiley face. Like, that was kind of her tone, which was, I felt very different from how yesterday was. And then James Cruz had responded something along the lines of, LOL, but he had said more, but you know how it goes. Everything just goes so fast. Mia responded, no, for real, and then said sad face. Mia said, he said I talked back to him over workout clothes. So it all kind of all fell together. And then we see another exhibit from that same day. This one, an email from Mia, this was an email from D-Rock to Mia, where D-Rock explained what happened. And Mia said, he went back shit on me because he didn't see all the workout options. What's he saying in the car? Give me a warning before you guys come back, because she said that she didn't want to be in the space when Diddy came back because she didn't know what type of mood he was in and potentially what type of anger that he could protrude on her. And so she said that she was worried about feeling his wrath. And in this instance, again, she was suspended without pay. And so we see another exhibit, this one from Mia, this one between Mia and Boza, which was Bad Boy HR. And the email, again, goes by so fast, or the memo goes by so fast. But it said on Friday, March 25th of 2011, you were suspended for 5 days. Diddy has said that she was insubordinate. And Mia had said that she wasn't being insubordinate, and that those weren't the only memos that were sent to her. They didn't include in these memos that Diddy was violent towards her. She was pretty much sad, she was confused, and that she didn't know what she did to essentially deserve this treatment in a way.
Didn't she also say that Combs had threatened to take away a TV show for her, or to something regarding ABC?
Mia was explaining while she was on the stand that Diddy, around this time, didn't want to be doing Revolt Films anymore. He kind of wanted to focus on other projects he was working on. But Mia was super excited about this particular project. It was this scripted pilot show that was supposed to go to ABC. It was a pretty much about the life of being Diddy's assistant. And this was a project that she was pretty excited about working on. But after an argument between Diddy and Mia, according to her, must have did something to Diddy, and Diddy took away this project from her. And for the most part, this project never even came more into fruition beyond the development point.
because it never had aired. It didn't get greenlit necessarily because Diddy essentially took this project away from her. And she had explained that all she wanted to do was work in television and films, and she was super eager about this opportunity. However, this was another instance where he took things that she really worked hard for, she says, away from her.
Now, I think after reading the testimony, some of the most shocking moments came towards the end. Okay, there was this back and forth about what happened after Cassandra Ventura filed her lawsuit in November 2023. This is very, very interesting because I want to keep in mind these allegations about whether or not Sean Combs or anybody in his orbit maybe was engaged